Hello again. This video is going to focus on conclusions and finishing strong.
The conclusion has 5 parts, just like your introduction, and actually many of the parts are pretty similar. The first thing you want to do in your conclusion is to give a transition. Tell us you're finishing. The second thing is to restate your overview. Again, your overview or guide is the last step in your introduction. The third thing you want to do are points to remember. What is other information you want the audience to remember? The fourth step is to conclude memorably. Finish very strong. And then the last step is to wrap up. Say goodbye, thank you, and are there any questions? Just like any other transition, a concluding transition tells the audience where we are. It tells the audience that we're going to finish pretty soon. So you can use a transition something like this. Maybe, let me conclude by, in conclusion, to sum up. These are pretty common concluding transitions. After you state your concluding transition, you probably want to tell us what was your main topic again. Just really quickly, in one sentence, use a transition and tell us your main topic once again. If you remember from your introduction, the overview are your 3 main points that you presented in your presentation. So in your conclusion, the second step is to restate the overview, which means to restate what were your 3 main points. Go ahead and state those points again. However, don't just copy and paste from your overview. Try to think of new ways to say the same thing. The third step in the conclusion are points to remember. Points to remember is what is other information you really want the audience to remember. So not just the 3 main points, but what other information did you give in your presentation that you want us to remember? So for example, if I did something about basketball and I talked about dribbling, passing, and shooting, those were my 3 main supporting ideas. Now my points to remember, maybe I can show the relationship of all parts. So for example, I might tell the audience, remember that with dribbling, passing, and shooting, you need all 3 of these skills working together in order to be a great basketball player. That's just something I want the audience to remember. The fourth step is to conclude memorably. Again, just like your introduction, you have a hook at the very beginning, something strong, something to get our attention. At the end of a presentation, you want to finish strong. You want to say something that we're going to really remember. Your book talks about 4 different strategies. The first one is to make a suggestion. Tell the audience that they should do something. So maybe you tell the audience they should drive their cars less, or they should drink less cola, something like that. The next one is a call to action. Now, a call to action is similar to making a suggestion. However, it's a little stronger. You're telling the audience that they really have to do something, like we must stop driving our cars so much, or you have to stop drinking cola, something like that. So suggestion and call to action are very similar. It's just that the call to action is a little bit stronger in the language that you present. The third strategy is to make a prediction. Tell the audience that this is going to happen in the future. So for example, if we continue this action, this is the result in the future. The fourth strategy is to give a warning, just to tell the audience, be careful. It doesn't really matter what strategy you use. And actually, you can use a combination of strategies. That's not a problem at all. You can give a warning, be careful about something, and then make a prediction. Otherwise, this is going to happen in the future. Now, again, these are just some basic strategies. You can use your own strategy, but what is very important is that you do something to finish strong, something that's going to give some type of feeling or meaning to the audience at the very end of your presentation. The fifth step is a very simple step, but extremely important. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a presentation where the person finished, but you weren't sure if they finished and then they just walked away? Well, this is where the wrap-up comes in. The fifth and final step is to tell the audience you're finished. Tell them thank you very much, and depending on the presentation, maybe ask if they have any questions for you.
So we've come to the end of our concluding video. Just remember there's 5 parts to include in your conclusion. The first thing is to have some type of transition. Let the audience know that you are finishing really soon. The second thing is to summarize your main points, to restate your guide or overview. The third thing is points to remember. What are other points that you really want the audience to remember? The fourth thing is to conclude memorably. Have some type of statement at the end of your presentation to finish strong. And then the last thing is to wrap up, to say bye-bye.